extensively.
sees air forces, launching the missiles or engaging in drone affairs or even aircrafts. But for now, for the first time, hearing that IRGC's ground forces are now involved in cross-border operations. So alongside Iran and Iraqi border, where there are Kurdish militants, armed militants over there. And it has been almost like decades that these Kurdish groups, from time to time, they have been clashing, have been in conflict with the Iranian army and Revolutionary Guards. So why now, particularly while the country is being that much intensively bombed, why does the IRGC need to conduct an operation at that border? Because the risk assessment in Tehran is that eventually USA and Israel will try to destabilize Iran's borders and then encourage the ethnic insurgencies. I mean, the insurgency through the ethnic minorities in Iran. And so the most volatile region in that equation is the Kurdish area in the western part of the country. And if IRGC does not stop it here, does not prevent it here, then these kind of insurgencies later could spread into the Baluch region in the east of the country, and then the Arabs, and then eventually Azeris. So Iran is such a diversified country, and we are talking about more than half of the population being regarded as the minority. So Kurds, 8 to 9 million Kurds. We are talking about over 4 million Arabs, more than 3 million Baluch, and then more than 25 million Azeris, and then there are Lors and Gors and lots of them. But these are huge ethnic groups. And some of them, they have their own desires of having their own states. So that's why the IRGC believes if this insurgency is not suppressed now, then later it's going to be extremely difficult to control it. And if it's not controlled, definitely that will mean a prolonged civil war.
And if we can just talk a little bit about the power vacuum in Iran at the moment, obviously, since the killing of the supreme leader, working towards electing someone to take over, they can't even at this point, from what we heard from Mohammed in the capital, Tehran, a little earlier, they can't even really mourn his death at this point in time because of the security threat. What do you make of that? And how quickly do they need to make a decision here to ensure some sort of stability, some sort of leadership going forward?
They have to be extremely quick, because Ali Khamenei was the builder of the modern-day Iran, on the contrary of the common understanding that people believe it was Ayatollah Khomeini who has built Iran. I will say not that much, to be honest. He was a charismatic, popular leader, but 10 years of his rule, so 8 years in the 10 years were just a war with Iraq, but it was Ali Khamenei who built Iran inch by inch. Any institution that you can imagine today, particularly security apparatuses and key figures that are running Iran, have been appointed or shaped or formed by him. So now he's not there, and the country is in an existential war facing the global empire, the USA and Israel, and indirectly the whole Western economy and defense industry is now working against Iran. So it's an existential threat for Iran. And while that is happening, so their leader is assassinated, their commanders are assassinated, and it was not just one-time heat. So Americans and Israelis are killing the military and the political elites on daily basis. So while all that is happening, who is going to be in command of the country while the country is facing the tremendous challenges? So now there are three power bases. First is a temporary leadership, and that temporary leadership is now apparently in charge. But there are also two politicians, the Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, Ali Larijani, and then Mohammed Ghalibaf, the spokesperson of the parliament. These are representing the political gravity of the power, and IRGC. However, at the end of the day, whoever is going to be elected and whoever is now the power center, at the end of the day, their power is measured by the IRGC. IRGC is going to decide the next supreme leader, and practically IRGC is going to decide the next supreme leader, and practically IRGC is now in charge of running the state affairs.
Russell, as always, thank you so much for talking us through all of that. We really do appreciate it. Russell Serta for us. Well, in Washington, senior Trump officials have briefed Congress behind closed doors for a second day, justifying the attacks on Iran. But not everyone is convinced. Democrats want a vote on a war powers resolution. They accuse the president of breaching the Constitution by authorizing attacks on Iran without congressional approval. Patty Culhane reports from Washington.
Leaving a classified briefing by Trump administration officials, one Democratic senator made the startling statement. He thinks this could become a ground war in Iran.
I just want to say I am more fearful than ever after this briefing that we may be putting boots on the ground, and that troops from the United States may be necessary to accomplish objectives that the administration seems to have.
That is something the administration has not ruled out, but also admitted they are not positioned to do that right now. When it comes to the reason for the strikes, the Trump administration moved to clarify what U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio had said just 24 hours before, that Israel was going to strike first, with or without the United States, so they felt they had to act. I put that question to Republican senators. Are you concerned when Secretary of State Rubio says that the U.S. was going to attack Iran because Israel was going to first?
No, look, we coordinated very closely with Israel. And the whole point was to attack Iran when they were weakest.
But for Republican Senator Mike Rounds, another new explanation.
There's a whole series of reasons why this was the opportune time to do it, in part because of the manufacturing processes that were going on within Iran, in which they were going to be shortly in a position to overcome our capability to defend against them with the weapon systems that we have available to us.
In the coming days, the Congress is expected to vote on a bill that would order the president to stop all attacks on Iran. Okay, is the War Powers bill going to pass? And if not, what's the point?
I'm not sure. We'll find out when the vote is taken. I think it'll be a close vote. But if nothing else, I think every American deserves to know where their representatives stand on this issue.
A potentially pivotal vote for lawmakers, knowing that come November, many of them will face voters who will have the final say if they agree with where they stand right now. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera, Capitol Hill.
Well, if you're just joining us, here's a quick rundown of the latest developments in the US-Israel-Iran war. Israel has issued new evacuation orders for Lebanon in its rapidly escalating conflict with Hezbollah. Over the past couple of hours, Israel has struck multiple areas in Beirut's southern suburbs, it says, a Hezbollah infrastructure. But a hotel near the capital and a residential complex in the east have also been hit. Iran has launched multiple strikes on Israel, including in the Tel Aviv area. Israel's defense minister says whoever is picked to be Iran's next supreme leader will be, quote, a target for elimination. Since Saturday, US and Israeli attacks have killed more than 800 people in Iran. And Iran has targeted as attack targets in the Gulf region for a fourth day. Saudi Arabia's defense ministry spokesman says there's been another attempted attack on its Ras Tanura oil refinery. It's one of several energy facilities that Iran has targeted in just the past few days. Well, US President Donald Trump has said he expects the operation in Iran to be over in a matter of weeks. But the history of American intervention in foreign lands suggests those operations often fail to meet their policy goals. John Hendren reports from Washington.
The American bombs landing on Iranian soil follow a long history of U.S. intervention abroad. President Donald Trump might have been encouraged by the January success of the mission to capture Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro.
And they're going to make more money than they've ever made before. We'll help build their country again.
We have to make a judgment as to...
President John Kennedy learned the hard way that interventions can go badly and quickly wrong, as he explained after the failed attempt to overthrow Cuba's government.